Welcome everybody to the greatest time of the football season. It's the draft period and we're here in the midst of the combine. Now don't worry, my 7-round mock draft will be coming soon. You can check that out at www.beardmohbox.com/mock draft. Pretty creative with the title. Definitely go to that website. It is real. However, today I'm going to be doing some, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should be charging an NFL team for these services. Now, I don't want to talk myself up too much, but I am actually one of the renowned experts of talent judgment in the world. That is why I am sharing this with you today. I wouldn't, if I knew the basics about a couple of players in the draft, I wouldn't go out and, share my opinion about everybody based on some secondhand information I read from somebody else who watched 3 games from one team in a season and is technically a paid expert and still gets it pretty wrong most of the time. That's not what I would do. I, myself, am an expert. If I wasn't an expert, would YouTube give me a channel? No. So I am sponsored by YouTube to make this kind of content and share it with you. And today, I'm going to teach you how to properly evaluate the quarterback position. Now, many people will tell you, oh,
This is the hardest position to evaluate.
you never really know, who is going to be good and who isn't. Sometimes you get some first rounders that are exactly what you thought they are. Sometimes they won't be. Sometimes you draft Peyton Manning. Sometimes you draft Brandon Weeden. The first round is pretty crazy. And then you get your late rounders. Sometimes you draft Tom Brady and sometimes you draft, everybody else you've never heard of. The point is, people try and complicate it, but it's really not that difficult. And as an expert on the college football expert, they call me in some circles, not this circle or anyone you've ever heard of, but they call me that, and you've got to just trust me there. And because of that, because I've watched over 6 college football games this season, all of the same team, I'm going to share with you now the only way you should be evaluating quarterbacks. But before we move on, everybody, Rob Gronkowski is sad because this channel doesn't have 69,000 subscribers. Help us make Rob Gronkowski happy again and get this channel to 69,000 subscribers. So, just like any expert would be, I'm here on the NFL.com website to take a look at their combine participants. We're only going to be talking about quarterbacks that go to the combine because everyone else is useless. And the basic principles are, now let's take a look at Jake Browning because we're just going to go in alphabetical order. We'll go here. Now, a lot of people think what's important is this, the player bio. Who is he? What's he done? What are his strengths, weaknesses? What does sources say? All that kind of rubbish. Who cares? There are only 2 things that matter when it comes to evaluating the quarterback. And no, it's not game tape. No, it's not the intangibles. One of them we can see right now. It is, what position do they... No, it's not what position they play. They're all quarterbacks. You've got to be a quarterback. One of those things we can see right now. 2 things. It's name and it's face. No quarterback with a bad name will ever be good in the NFL. And no quarterback that doesn't look like a quarterback is ever going to be successful in the NFL. Just think about every good quarterback and they all look a specific kind of way, and they all have good names. Your Tom Brady's, Brett Favre, Bart Starr. But it doesn't all have to be short, punchy names. You can have a 2-syllable first name, 2-syllable last name. Aaron Rodgers, you can shorten that to A-Rod, and A-Rod is such a good name, it's famous in 2 sports. Now, the first thing, of course, name is important, but there's not a set number of names that are good for quarterbacks. You got to feel that one out. You got to say it out loud. Does it sound like it's going to be a good quarterback? The other thing is appearance. The first thing that's important for an appearance of the quarterback is he's got to be well groomed. He's got to be well groomed. You don't see any scruffy looking quarterbacks that end up being successful. So Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying it now, watch out. If you keep that long hair, you may never become a good NFL quarterback. You got to be well groomed. So now what I'm going to do, because I am an expert, but I want to kind of, come down to your level, you peasants. I want to be like you, the normal person that doesn't know too much. I'm going to pretend that I don't know who most of these guys are except for 1 or 2 players. So I'm just going to pretend that this is the first time I'm seeing and hearing about them. Obviously, I'm an expert, so I already know. So we'll start with Jake Browning. Now, I think if his name was Jake Brown, he might have a chance. Jake Browning, not really a good shot. Let's take a look at him. And now that we've decided that his name's not the best, it was close to being good, but Jake also isn't really a great first name for a quarterback. And he just, I don't know, he looks a little too young. He doesn't look like he's going to lead a team. Now, our rating system is a very good one today. We're going to rate them out of 5 experts. Now, our chosen expert is a great one. He is probably one of the best experts in football, and everything he says is worthwhile. So we're going to rate Jake Browning. Unfortunately for him, I'm sorry, you went to a decent college, but it's not going to work out for you in the NFL. You get 1.5 experts out of 5. So next up, we have Ryan Finley. Now, Ryan Finley, it's not a bad name, actually. I could take that. But that is, I'm sorry, Ryan Finley, that is not the look of an NFL quarterback. I would say you're a little bit better than Jake Browning. You're 2 experts out of 5. That's actually probably too high. You're also 1.5 experts out of 5. Next up, we have Nick Fitzgerald. Now, Nick, we've seen, Nick Foles, for example. Nick's not the worst name for a quarterback. Fitzgerald, we've seen the name Fitzgerald do well in the NFL, but wide receiver names and quarterback names are very different. Think about Fitzpatrick. That is the same number of syllables, and he could have an up and down career, but let's take a look at what he looks like. It's not that bad. I think this is a pretty decent. I think he's got a better shot of actually being in the NFL than those other 2 guys. I would give him 2 experts out of 5. Now, here is a great one coming up. We've got Will Grier. Now, that is good. It's punchy. We like Will Grier. Will, a little bit out there for a quarterback. Grier, that's a solid last name. But Will Grier fails the number 1 test. He is not well groomed. Now, he's not well groomed. Obviously, he's shaped it up and everything, but come on, that is not the look of a quarterback. He looks like Mike Bercovici, and it didn't work out very well for him. So, Will Grier, you had the name, you don't have the look. Because of that, I would still give you 2.5 experts out of 5. All right, next up, we've got Dwayne Haskins. Now, Dwayne Haskins, I like it. It's a pretty good name. And then you take a look at him, and he looks a little too much like Jameis Winston here at the chin. Now, personally, I obviously can't talk, and he's in significantly better shape than me, but I'm an expert. I'm not a quarterback, so it doesn't matter what I look like. But I think it's pretty good. We'll give him 3.5 experts out of 5. But now this one, Tyree Jackson. You can hear commentators already calling that one out as he throws a 60-yard bomb downfield for a touchdown. We like Tyree Jackson, the name. That itself gets 4 experts out of 5, but let's see what his face does. I'm trying to think of some excuses for him, but his appearances really let him down here in the quarterback ratings. His name is great. His appearance dropped slightly, but he will be wearing a helmet, so that helps. We'll give him... He's the same as Dwayne Haskins, 3.5 experts out of 5. Next up, we've got Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback name. That is the name of a quarterback's accountant, maybe the friend of a quarterback's son. I don't know. Daniel Jones is a terrible name. It makes me think of Chase Daniel. Obviously, it's the other way around. But so maybe he's got some backup potential there. But Jones, it's not a very creative name for a quarterback. And then I take a look at Daniel Jones, and he looks like my son's friend who probably is a bad influence on him. So, Daniel Jones, I'm trying to think of what we rated the other guys. 2.5 experts out of 5. It's not looking good for him. Okay, next up, we've got Drew Lock. Now, we like the name Drew, of course. You think of Drew Brees. Lock is pretty close to Luck. Now, I think this guy has got a pretty good name right here. The name was doing well, but he looks like the love child of Ben Roethlisberger and Christian Hackenberg. 2 experts out of 5. Now we've got Trace McSorley. I like Trace McSorley. He sounds like the kind of guy who will go on a 70-yard scamper for a rushing touchdown on a designed passing play. Let's take a look at what he looks like. Now, Trace, you've failed again the number 1 rule of being a quarterback. You are not well groomed. Now, that is going to be a problem. I don't know, maybe I'm being tricked here. I just did my full analysis of the kicker position, and maybe McSorley would be a better kicking name. Maybe I'm still in that space. Go to www.beardmohbox.com/full kicker analysis to read my analysis of every single kicker that is draft eligible this year. Trace McSorley, you're not well groomed. It's the biggest faux pas that a quarterback can make. You get 1.5 experts out of 5. Then we've got Gardner Minshew, and in all honesty, if I can't tell which one of your names is the first name or the last name, it's not a good look. you hear a color commentator shouting out Minshew for a touchdown. I doubt it. Let's take a look at him. But now the thing about this guy is he's got a very familiar face, and I think that will work in his favor. A quarterback, if he already looks familiar before he's even in the NFL, he's very likely going to look familiar once he's in the NFL. I mean, the name is probably half an expert out of 5, but he's got the look. Now, he could be a little better groomed, but it is, it's clean. We'll take that. This is a pretty good look. I would say 4 experts out of 5. This may be the best quarterback in the draft this year. We've got Kyler Murray. I think it's a good name. Kyler's a pretty good name for a football player, except for the only Kyler I can think of is Kyler Fackrell, and, well, he never turned out to be that great. But Murray, pretty decent. Now, the most Murrays I can think of are backups. If it was his first name, it'd be even worse, but it's not. So Kyler Murray, we'll take it. It's pretty good. And then we take a look at his appearance, and there's something about him. Something says to me Kyler Murray will be good. Maybe it's the fact that it looks like he's got a massive brain because his head's quite big. That obviously speaks well for a quarterback. Maybe it's just that, he's one of the only guys we've seen so far that is smiling. A quarterback, of course, has to have confidence, and he's had the confidence in this picture to smile. We'll give him as well 4 experts out of 5, but it's really about the confidence of this picture that really helps him out. Next up, we've got Brett Ripien. Now listen, your first name is Brett. You got Brett Favre immediately jumping into my mind. Your second name is Ripien, and I'm still thinking of Brett Favre ripping it, and now I'm thinking just about you being as good as Brett Favre. Let's take a look at you. Now, Brett Ripien, it's not the worst look for a quarterback. As a matter of fact, he looks like an actor that would play a high school quarterback in a movie or a TV show, so that's pretty good. But, I mean, the name is so incredibly good. That's 5 out of 5 experts, no doubt. His appearance is more of a 2.5, but we level it out. Brett Ripien, I think we'll leave him at 3.5 experts out of 5. Next up, we've got Kyle Shermer. Now, Kyle is letting him down, especially in this year's draft class. He just looks like a worse version of Kyler. That's going to hurt his draft stock for sure among, the NFL executives. Shermer, of course, the son of Pat Shermer. But Shermer isn't a great name, and Pat Shermer isn't a great guy when you think of quarterbacks, so that's not good for him either. The name Kyle is almost so disappointing, I'm thinking back to Daniel Jones right now. But let's take a look at Kyle Shermer. Kyle Shermer is not going... I'm thinking of Matt Sims right now. I really am seeing a Sims brother here in Kyle Shermer. It's the guy with, who's got NFL pedigree, blah, blah, blah. But the name's not great, just like Chris and Matt are not great names for quarterbacks. I mean, Phil Sims was. He really fought against the grain to become a decent quarterback. But Kyle Shermer, I don't see it happening. 1.5 experts out of 5. Kyle is a terrible name when you're in the same draft class as Kyler. Then we've got Easton Stick. Now, I'll tell you this. If his name was Stick Easton, he would get 5 out of 5 experts straight away. Easton Stick is a little bit... It doesn't really flow very well at all. Let's take a look at him. I gotta tell you, appearance-wise, it's not the worst, but then I look at this specific picture and he looks like he snuck in to get this picture taken and he's having a great time at the fact the photographer hasn't realized he's not actually a quarterback prospect. Easton Stick is probably just 2 experts out of 5. Then we've got Jarrett Stidham. Now, Jarrett Stidham is a pretty good name. I like it. Jarrett Stidham, though, it's a pretty good name. We'll give him 3.5 experts out of 5, actually. It's not a bad total package. So, our second to last quarterback, we have got Jordan. We've got Jordan. Now, listen, Jordan is a decent name. I'm thinking of Jordan Palmer. It's not the best, of course, but then I'm thinking of Palmer, and then I'm thinking of Carson, and therefore it's better already. Well done. You've got a half-decent name in terms of association. If I can't say your last name without confidence, I just can't see it quite working out. Now, that's more on me. It's more on most of us, but let's give him two experts out of 5. And our final quarterback, Clayton Thorson. It's not bad. Clayton's a pretty decent name. Thorson's a bit odd, but we'll work with it. I think that's not too bad. Clayton Thorson does not look like a quarterback. Where does it even say how old he is? I am not surprised he's a redshirt senior whatsoever. Maybe you could just take away the class part and the R and just say senior, because he looks very senior. He's making me think too much of Brandon Weeden. Similarly, slightly odd name. Literally, they have nothing to do with each other, but they have the same effect on my brain. Clayton Thorson, don't really see it happening. 1.5 experts out of 5. So with my expert analysis, we have come down to 2 quarterbacks that are tied to be the best. Now let's take another look at them again. Let's take a look at them side by side. So we have got Gardner Minshew. Now listen, that is... the name really doesn't help him, but like I said, he's got a familiar face. I genuinely look at him and feel like I have seen this person before. That is great for a quarterback. Then I look at Kyler Murray. I like the name. It gets a lot of points from me. A lot more points than Gardner Minshew gets. You know, just in terms of pure look, maybe not first thing you think is quarterback, but you then take a look at the confidence of the picture. You think, now that's a guy who knows what he can do, and that makes him a decent quarterback. We're going to give the advantage, of course, to Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is the top quarterback in this year's draft. That is my expert analysis. I was almost about to say opinion. It is not an opinion. It is based on statistical analysis. It is not statistics, but it is analysis. Go with me here. Gardner Minshew is the top prospect in this year's draft, followed closely by Kyler Murray, but not so closely because he doesn't look as familiar. So that is it for my analysis of the quarterbacks in this year's draft. I think you will obviously, most of you should agree with me. If you don't, I suggest you maybe learn a little bit more about the sport of football. Apart from that, if you enjoy this and you would like me to cover some more positions, because, you know, I'm not just an expert in one position, I'm an expert in pretty much everything. So expect me to talk a lot about not my opinions, my analysis. If an opinion suggests that it's not fact, when I say something, it is fact. If you want to see more for different positions, let me know. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you agree that Gardner Minshew will be the first quarterback to go.